I was speaking with a founder the other day, and she said something that really stopped me in my tracks. She said, as a founder, I don't really have anyone I can talk to who understands the business and isn't a stakeholder. It's really lonely. And I think that that's really true, my friends, because that's the real life of a founder. And I think we've all been there. Welcome to Female Founder Unplugged, the show where we cut through the noise and have a real, raw conversation about what it takes to build and scale a successful business as a female entrepreneur. I'm Lindsay White, people strategy expert, leadership coach, and fellow founder. And I know firsthand the challenges of scaling sustainably and staying connected to your passion along the way. This podcast is for ambitious women just like you, seasoned founders and CEOs navigating the challenges of leadership, team building, and sustainable growth. In each episode, we'll dive into those topics that are most important to you as a female founder. You'll hear honest, no BS conversations about building, growing, and leading a team and culture so that you can grow without losing yourself in the process. Because let's be real, entrepreneurship can feel isolating, and leadership doesn't come with a roadmap. If you've ever struggled with the pressure of running a business, felt overwhelmed by growing your team, or wondered, how do I scale without sacrificing my vision and my purpose, you're in the right place. Let's get unplugged. My friends, welcome back to the Female Founder Unplugged. You know this already. We talk about the real life, unplugged, raw reality of being a female entrepreneur. And this one today is something I think so many of us have experienced. It is a very isolating place, particularly when we're in this messy middle of growth and scaling. The isolation is real. And I think it's true. I think entrepreneurship can be inherently lonely, not because you're doing it wrong and not because you need better networking skills. Lord knows there's lots of places to network. And it's really not because you need to get out there more, because let's be honest, there is a lot competing for our time. It really is to some degree structural. The people who understand your business the most, they likely have some kind of stake in it. They are a partner, they're on your team, they're an investor, they're a co-founder, and they are either financially or emotionally tied to the outcome. If you're like me, I have an incredible husband. He's been very supportive of my entrepreneurial journey. I think some days he wonders if I'm insane, but he's not an entrepreneur. And as much as he loves that I'm doing what I really deeply desire to do, he just doesn't get it. And I hear that from a lot of my colleagues, that they have great partners, but that their partner is not actually someone they can talk to because they simply don't understand. And it's like these people that have a stake in our business, they love you and they support you and they encourage you, but they don't live with the same competing pressures that we have. You know, the payroll, the reputational risk, the weight of all the decision making, and, you know, the long-term responsibility. And that's a distinction that matters. And when we're in the messy middle, when we are at the space where we're really starting to, to experience incredible growth, this gets heavier. And, here's what most of us do when we start feeling this isolation. We turn inward and we really start to internalize, and we say things to ourselves like, what am I doing wrong? Do I just need to go network more? Should I be better at this? Is this just me? Right? Because we are absolutely wired to be self-sustaining and to be kind of individualistic and to self-correct first. You've also heard me talk a lot about the saboteur. And this is a place where that sneaky, snarky voice starts to creep in. Like, we should have this all figured out. And we shouldn't need anybody else to do this. And we should be able to figure it out all by ourselves. And high-achieving women are especially bad at this. Right? We really double down and look inward for the fix before we look at the structural reality. Let me be clear with you. This isolation is not a flaw. It actually comes with the role. And that's, my friend, why founders need other founders. We don't need to hype each other up. Although, that's great. Like, we need to be cheerleaders. Please don't get me wrong. But I don't need someone to come into my business and be a hype person. If this isn't about surface level marketing, this is not, that speed networking. This isn't about, Instagram collaborations. It's not that those things are bad or wrong. But what we need is real connection and conversations about shared experiences and consequences. For perspectives from someone who understands the weight, but doesn't have skin in your game. That's different. That's what we really, really need. So let's talk for a minute about why this messy middle in our entrepreneurial journey feels so intensely lonely. And I think because often in the early days, everything feels really exciting. We're this scrappy startup. We're bootstrapping it. We're really jazzed about it. And maybe we have a little more time to be out there and be connecting because that really feels like the right thing to do. We're looking for advice. We need connection. And in the later stages, there starts to be executive leadership layers, right? Like maybe we have the CFO or the COO. We start to lean into some fractional pieces, right? But in this messy middle that we're in, where the growth is coming, we're in between. We're not big enough yet to have that extra layer of management that we can depend on and we can talk with. We don't have space for that. We don't have payroll for that, right? But we're big enough that the decisions really matter deeply. The tricky is we're small enough that we still carry most of the decisions, right? The buck stops here, as they say. We're growing fast enough that the stakes keep rising. Like every day, it feels like it escalates. And we are close enough to the business and the team that every decision feels very personal. I say this often. You've put your blood, sweat, tears, and most of your life savings in this damn thing. You care really deeply about it. I care deeply about my business. I get it. And part of this is that you're evolving as a leader. You are redesigning your people strategy, right? And if you're in the middle of that, you need to listen to our last episode about the people strategy work. You're really trying to protect your culture, right? You like the way you work together. There's a rhythm here, and that's important to you as you grow. You're managing some expense lines, probably most prominently your payroll. And you're still trying to be an effective partner and parent. You're navigating your family and your community and all the expectations that go along with that. And you're supposed to look super calm, completely composed, and totally with it while you're doing it. My friends, it's a lot. Again, I feel this. I am living this. This is where I am at, and I see you doing it too. Okay? You've heard me talk about the LPC Accelerator. It's where we do the real work, the leadership strategy, the people systems, and culture that actually holds when things get hard. It's part one-on-one coaching, part mastermind, and it's all about helping you lead with clarity, not chaos. If you've been listening and thinking, this is what I've been missing, our next cohort kicks off March the 2nd, and there's a spot for you. If you want to grow without burning out, this is the room to be in. You can send me a DM today to learn more or check out the link in the show notes and it'll take you right to the page. And this, my friends, is why the LPC methodology has 3 big levers, not just one. Because your leadership and growing your ability to lead more strategically as a CEO is not enough. Having a really great people strategy all by itself, totally not enough. And just having a great culture, a place where people really enjoy working together, that's not going to be enough either. The truth is all 3 of those pieces have to work together. They have to work in harmony. Because in this messy middle, the leadership steadies you, right? Being a calm, confident leader. The people strategy stabilizes the business. Having a structure where people know how they deliver on results that impact the way your business grows. Having a culture where people know that they are empowered to deliver that great work. And then having a community keeps you sane in all of that. But you need all of it because If you only work on your leadership, you'll grow internally, but there'll be structural chaos. If you only build the structure, you get to be really efficient, but it feels really disconnected. And if you only focus on the culture, well, it feels warm and fuzzy, but nobody knows what the hell's going on. And the truth is, if you try and do this alone, you're carrying the weight in isolation. And man, that feels super heavy. So this is why being a part of a great community matters, and why I intentionally built a mastermind component into the LPC accelerator. This, for me, wasn't just a nice to have. And there's lots of masterminds out there. But for me, this was an absolutely foundational component of creating an accelerator program that supports female founders in this messy middle space. Because what you need is a room where you can say the hard thing out loud, where you can have a space of trust and you can feel really held and understood by the people that are in that room with you. You have to have a space where you don't have to protect people's feelings, where we can be bold and say the things that need to be said. You don't need anyone to pull punches for you. You need to hear the truth. You need to hear the perspectives. And you need that done in a way that's really deeply kind, but also absolutely clear. You need perspectives from other women founders who understand the risks and the pressures, but are not on your payroll. And you need big brains that can help you think clearly when you're too close to it. My friends, you can't read the label from inside the bottle. And you need the right people in the room to help you see what you can't see. This is not about networking, although that's a great side effect. This is not about performance, but it will absolutely help you accelerate. It's strategic. It's honest conversations without shared consequences. And that distinction really changes everything. My friends, this is even more impactful if you're layering motherhood on top. Like if you're a mom like I am, you're layering two pretty isolating roles, right? Entrepreneurship, isolating, can be tricky. Motherhood, sometimes can feel like you're carrying it all by yourself. Both come with invisible labor. Both come with real emotional weight. Both come with constant decision-making, with no handbook. And both come with the, I should be handling this better, saboteur situation, right? Like, how am I failing at all of this all the time? My friends, this is not a space of weakness. This is the reality that we work in as female founders. This is our space. And that's why creating an intentional community for female founders, it's not just indulgent. It's not just a nice to have. It's a must have. And really, it is strategic. The messy middle, it isn't hard because you are struggling at being a business owner. It's hard because there's a lot of things happening at the same time, and they're a bit compounding. You're evolving as a leader. So you're not the technical expert or the tactical executor anymore. Your team is growing and it needs some structure to do that the right way. Your culture needs to be nurtured and protected, and you're carrying it all without a space for you to come and share the burden. And the LPC methodology works because it helps you integrate all of that. And the LPC accelerator works because the mastermind creates the space to share it. So it's about leadership, so you grow as a CEO the way your business needs you to. The people strategy, so your team carries the weight of the growth along with you. The culture piece, so you don't lose the heart of what you built. And the community, so you don't have to do it alone. My friends, that conversation, that combination, that is really powerful. So let me ask you this. Do you currently have anyone that understands you and your business and isn't directly connected to any of the daily decisions or the strategic outcomes? If your answer is, I don't have anybody, that is absolutely not a flaw, but it definitely is a gap, and the gap needs to be filled. The messy middle here is not something that you need to just survive. It's actually a space where the change can be deeply meaningful. And you need to be the architect of that change. And the tricky part is you were never meant to do this architecture alone. That's why the LPC Accelerator has a really key pillar that is the mastermind piece, so that we can connect and we can build these pieces together. If you want to know more about the Accelerator program, all you have to do is check out the link in the show notes below. And of course, you are absolutely invited to book a conversation with me. Let's talk about whether you're in the messy middle or not. We'll figure that out. Let's talk about what's the right way to get you started on getting out of that. And we can figure out if the Accelerator is the right place for you to do that work. Because I think that's really important. It's got to fit for you and where you're at. All right. Thank you, my friends. Talking about this, I think, is so important because as founders, we actually hold that sort of loneliness real close to our vest. We don't want people to see us as weak. We don't want us to be seen that we aren't capable, that we can't handle it. And I think we actually all need a place where we can feel like we can come and just talk about what's really happening and not feel alone and not feel like there's something wrong with us. So until next time, my friends, lead with heart, grow with purpose, and stay high voltage. Thanks for tuning into this episode of Female Founder Unplugged. If today's conversation resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Connect with me on Instagram at HighVoltLeadership and send me your questions or let me know your biggest takeaway. Looking for more strategies on scaling your business, building a powerhouse team, or leading with confidence? Head over to highvoltageleadership.ca or follow me on LinkedIn for exclusive content, resources, and special offers just for listeners. Until next time, keep leading, keep learning, and remember, the real magic happens when you're unplugged.
This podcast is produced, mixed, and edited by Cardinal Studio. For more information about how to start your own podcast, please visit www.cardinalstudio.co or email Mike at mike@cardinalstudio.co. You can also find the details in the show notes.